My name is Simon Judd. I'm a second-time founder. My first company, I grew our AUM to over $500 million and raised $10 million from a number of S-class investors, including Sequoia and 1KX. I spent the last 3 years working as a computer scientist, first at an Israeli startup called Inganyama, where I did GPU hardware acceleration, and after that at a Swiss university called EPFL, where I studied zero-knowledge cryptography. I'm here to introduce my new company, Katechon Technology. We build generative interfaces. If you think about the history of how we consume content on the internet, it really breaks down into three big eras. The first era was the static site era, where users typed in a query to Google and they went to a website. The second era was the social era, where the majority of the content that was served came from a user's social graph. And the final era is where we are today, which is the era of the algorithmic newsfeed, where the majority of the content you consume on the internet is chosen for you by a machine. That is where we are today. But we are not at the end of history. If you take anybody off the street today, the only thing that has ever existed is the Twitter feed, the TikTok feed, and the Instagram feed. And that is the only thing that will ever exist. But that is simply not reality. We are already seeing the first hints of how the internet is evolving and changing. We spent 20 years typing queries into Google. Today, we get 10, 100x better results with the same queries in Claude or ChatGPT. One thing hasn't changed, though. Whenever something big happens in the world, a war, assassination, a sports event, the first thing we do is we go to our algorithmic newsfeed and we scroll. But that era is slowly coming to an end. And before I go any further, I want to pay homage to the algorithmic newsfeed. This has defined our generation for the last 10 years, and it remains very relevant today. We still use it every day, and it feels like that is the end state. But it's actually really old. It came out in 2016. It's been around for 10 years. So what comes next? So the algorithmic newsfeed is already showing its age. It feels real time, but it really isn't. There's a big lag between when things happen in the world and when they show up on our feed. There's a massive demand for content, and it's very hard for content creators to even keep up. Like, there's only maybe 1,000 people in the world who are writing takes that are actually interesting to you. And you see this happen all the time, where maybe there's a week where the feed is really good and you're on it all the time, and then it gets really boring, and it's boring for 2-3 weeks, then it gets good again. And that's just going to keep happening, and it's going to keep falling behind and keep falling behind. So what comes after the feed? We believe the next major evolution is generative user interfaces, where everything the user sees on screen is generated for them in real time. What this looks like is software that is evolving as the world evolves, as there are new inputs, as new information is coming in. We call these channels. A channel
should be read as a signal surface. Scan, compare, then decide what deserves attention. I'm watching channels for structure, context, and changes that make the interface easier to understand.
So a channel is actually really simple. It's got 3 input layers. The first is live data from the world and context. The second is a specialized agent who is able to take that context, control the UI, and do various tool calls. But the most important part is the mutable surface. And the mutable surface changes as the inputs change. This is how a channel works. So say I'm interested in the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe we start with a high-level view of a map of the region, which then zooms in to lower-level views of the strait, and then finally the ship positions. Channels are really cool. You can share channels, you can fork them. Everybody who interacts with a channel can make it their own. And finally, channels expose a very interesting opportunity that isn't present in current news feeds, because you can interact inside the channel. You can take a bet on Polymarket, you can go long oil in a way that you can't with short-form video or photos. Katechon Technology is a platform designed to serve users the most relevant channels for them. We do this with our attention architecture. It starts with what's happening in the world, user context, agent context. We have a list of many channels, each designed around a specific topic. And then, based on what we think is going to be most compelling to each user in real time, we generate the content that we serve to the user. So the algorithmic feed, it chooses out of many posts what to show you. Katechon technology, on the other hand, builds what to show you in real time. We're going to now show you what a channel looks like. So in our cohort, we have a great oil trader who has probably made more money than everybody in this room over the last 3 months, and he loves trading oil. So this is what his channel would look like as he is engaging with the current Iran conflict and seeing what is happening.
We're looking at Iran, markets pricing strike risk in real time. Now Hormuz, that's just the channel, rewrites itself. And here MV Artemis rerouting south, live position, live cargo, live risk. Click the tanker. Replicate calls ByteDance Seedream, and the video becomes a transparent engineering schematic in real time. Then the schematic pins back into Hormuz, live vessel state, market pressure, and model output in one channel. Finally, everything clears. We end on the ship itself, alone at night in the Strait of Hormuz.
So when we came to San Francisco, we came here on Sunday, and we took an Uber from the airport in San Francisco to our hotel. And at this point, that's like a very archetypical journey, because you come to San Francisco, and as you're coming into the city, you see all the billboards. You see all the big companies with their billboards. You come in, like all the big tech companies. And I was thinking as we were driving in, how many thousands of people have come to San Francisco and they've driven into the city and they said, hey, one day my company is going to be on one of these billboards. We did not come to San Francisco to have our logo on a billboard. We came to put Katechon on every single screen in this city. We were raising a $4 million seed round. If you're interested, come talk to me after.